Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Live Your Dreams podcast. We are very excited to be here again. My name is Joe Gawalis, alongside my co-host,
Chris Victor.
Chris. How you been? Been good, buddy?
I've been great, especially when I meet new exciting people like our new guest.
Oh, our new guest is fantastic. This is an incredible individual, someone who is a motivational speaker, an entrepreneur, a mathematician, and very importantly, a mother. She is a fantastic individual, Miss Flory Hiatrides.
Very well done.
Oh, thank you. See how you got
Fantastic part.
Hey, that's no, really. I mean, your reputation precedes you. You are fantastic. We'll get in a little bit later about everything you're doing and your system and what you've been creating and how you've been motivating people in the world. But it's fantastic. You really changed a lot of lives. It's quite fascinating the journey you've been on.
Best legacy ever.
Are you kidding me? I mean, how do you beat that? And you started as a girl from the Bronx.
Yep.
Right?
You can take the girl out of the Bronx, but you can't take the Bronx out of the girl.
So I mean, you've had a fantastic journey. Mathematician, you seem to study a lot of the stats. You're somebody who's a realist. You kind of look what's around you, and you really want to kind of see things that are tangible. What really, coming from the Bronx, is that always around you? Or were you kind of, what was your family like? Do you grow on the street side of the Bronx, or are you more from an educated family? It's kind of fascinating to me.
Yeah, you just said something that about the concreteness of the Bronx, pun intended, right?
Yeah.
But the irony is, to manifest and get everything you want, you have to live in your imagination.
Sure.
So there was a real switch over for me from being this mathematician, concrete, see it to believe it. And then the real algorithm, I like that word, but the real algorithm is believe it and then see it. So back to the Bronx, yeah, my dad was a truck driver, my mom a bookkeeper. I'm first generation college. And I'm the youngest of 4 girls. And yeah, it was a very normal blue-collar life. And a lot of people always ask me, what was that first jump or first leap or first opportunity? And I tell all young people, it's get a mentor.
There you go.
It's get a mentor. You can be, I was a valedictorian, straight A student, but nonetheless, you could still go under the radar and be as talented as the next person. But you get someone who's in a successful business position to pay a little bit extra attention and mentor you, which is why I mentor so many kids now. The difference. It's all the difference.
No, I noticed that. Yeah, I know you're very proud of that. And the fact that you're mentoring for a lot of people at your university that you came through, that's a huge deal. And I agree, because I owe a lot of my career in the entertainment business to mentors. I feel without mentors, you're just kind of floating. You're almost aimless. No matter how much natural ability you have, you really just don't have a direction to be pointed in. And I think without direction, you're lost. I mean, you don't go on a road trip without looking at a map, or nowadays setting your GPS. You don't just randomly wander into the world, and that's fantastic that you do that.
I said that for years. I don't want to go the wrong direction, so I don't need a shortcut. I just want to make sure I'm going the right direction.
And you know what most kids don't realize? Business professionals can't wait to help. They just don't know how. They don't know the avenue. So just as the kids don't know if they're going in the right direction, they don't know if they're in the right direction on how to help people. So there is now more. I'm actually working with someone who's developing an AI platform, Mentor in a Box.
Wow.
Let me tell you some exciting projects because AI technology never replaces in person, and I'm always a fan of a blended solution.
Sure.
But there's so much opportunity now with AI and the ability to provide for these kids. But back to the Bronx and back to the beginning of my success. One day I will not come back. I'll go on a tangent and not come back.
You tangent away.
Right now I come back, but I still come back. So I think mentoring is like kind of the first thing that got me a good start.
Sure. After college, you kind of go into the world of mathematics. You kind of go into that direction. Now you're in the business world. You've had a lot of success in the world of finance. What kind of started your journey there? And again, was it mentors? Did you go, you said valedictorian, that's a big deal. So obviously you graduated with obviously a very good job. You got to position yourself for your future. How did your business career kind of take off for you?
I never got a job. I still haven't got a job.
I like that.
Never, ever had a job. That's the truth, though. I've never officially, I always put air quotes, worked for anybody else.
Sure.
Even though when you own your own company, you work for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? But I've never officially had a job. So what happened is when I was in college, because I was getting good grades and I was in math, and back then especially, you're talking 40 years ago, women were not in math and science.
Sure.
So I stood out a little bit. I was on a scholarship. That's the only way I could go to college. My parents couldn't afford it. So they said, wherever you get a scholarship, you can go.
Sure.
So I went to Iona initially. And basically, so I got some attention. We started with computer day camps when I was in college.
Look at that.
And then I saw the need. It's a great story. I'll make it quick, and I can talk fast. You ask me questions. But the bottom line is, this was back in the 70s. Commodore PET, kids were just learning. But I noticed the parents were really interested. So then, in addition to a kids camp, I ran a parents camp. But on the 5th day, they were with their kids. So 4 days the kids were alone, 4 days the parents were alone, but on the 5th day, they were with their kid.
Nice.
Then we had more parents in line who didn't have kids. I realized there was a need for adult education. So I went to the college. I said, yeah, there's a business here. So I started my first business in partnership with Iona College.
That's great. That's fantastic.
So I did all sweat equity.
Yeah.
And they put the computers in, and it was technology training back then. That was my first.
That's fantastic. And it seems to me, based on, and we'll get into what you're doing now, one of your biggest strengths, I think, is analyzing people. It seems like you are great at reading what is required and what people need in their lives. Like you said, you saw the children were interested in learning, but it was the parents who needed it more. The need for adult education. That's a great way.
You know, it's funny you say reading people, which is a big skill. Like when I say big, I mean big as in simple yet complicated.
Sure.
Like charisma. People always say I want to be charismatic. I'm like, well, you can't be something you can't break down. So what is charisma? And then people are like, oh, I don't know how I define it. Well, you can't become it if you can't define it.
Sure.
So reading people, that has about 42.8 skills as a subset, right? Poker players. I love watching poker players. I love gambling.
Sure.
That's all about reading people, but there's more to that when it's in a different environment. So reading people is a very complicated skill, which looks so effortless when done well, because you're kind of reading the room.
Sure.
You know, you have emotional intelligence, one of my favorite topics, right? Emotional intelligence, which is understanding who you are in this world and regulating your behavior to get to the outcome you want. So yeah, we say it kind of easily,
Sure.
You know, reading people, but yet pretty complicated skill.
Well, it's usually the things that we say easily that are most complicated, right? It's things that you kind of just say, comes simple, but it shouldn't. Some people it does. And that's,
well, you know, listen, driving the car, if you go to teach someone, there's about 82 steps.
you're absolutely right.
But
yeah.
now you get in the car and you do them all pretty effortlessly,
Oh,
right? So it's
100%.
really paying attention to, and that's really what I'm really superb about. That's what a great facilitator does. They can take something complex and break it down, because I can't teach you if I can't break it down.
Sure.
I can't teach you if I can't break it down and hand it to you on a silver platter. Then I can't teach you. So I meet a lot of people, even when I'm teaching today, which I know we'll go into more later, who understand the concepts I'm teaching, but couldn't explain it to someone. So whether I give them the knowledge or I give them the tools to explain the knowledge, both are equally beneficial. Because you can be successful, but if you can't impart that to someone else, there's no legacy happening.
No, you're 100% right. And I'm so glad that you broke that down for people, because a lot of young entrepreneurs that are watching this show need to learn that if you're actually going to have the right mentors around you, they need to know how to break it down and explain things. Because like you said, there's a lot of great people that may be quote unquote mentoring somebody, but if they don't know how to correctly break it down and explain it to you, they're really not helping you. They may be great, aptly they apply it well, but not great teachers.
But
so.
the trick is, right, mentors, bankers are not necessarily teachers. I'm a mentor who's a teacher.
Sure.
So I'm also teaching. It's like a train the trainer, but a train the mentor.
Sure.
But you know what? The kids or anybody, young adults or anybody trying to build a business, I could give them the number one best advice right now, which is you have to extract from people. You can't count on them knowing how to teach you. So I teach people extraction skills. And you know the number one tool for extracting? Questions.
There you go. Yeah.
Good, pointed, specific questions. And I said this on a lot of podcasts that I've done and in a lot of forums that I've been in. But the word question, if you break it down, the beginning is quest. And ION in Latin, which I took 4 years of because I was going to be a doctor, means to go. So the word question means to go on a quest. So if you think of every time you're asking someone a question, you're going on a journey to find an answer that's going to propel you forward, that's the ticket. So even if you have a mentor that is not teaching you and you're not getting the tools you need, you start asking questions.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, you have to ask me the right questions. I'm just going to tell you things. If you're not coming with the right questions, how can I actually help you? Because you're not helping yourself. You don't even know where you're going because you're not asking the correct question.
And add to that, also, if you're not asking yourself the right questions, also, the right type of question that you ask yourself will give you determinative answer.
Listen to this connection, though, to technology, because I'm old school. I'm getting into all social and everything else, but I'll tell you, old school techniques kill it.
Sure.
They know how to build relationships. But here's a connection from old to new, asking questions. I can use AI very differently than someone else because of the questions I'm asking it.
100%.
So asking good question is going to help everybody, age-wise, culture-wise, decade-wise. People like, Flo, I don't know how you get all that information out of chat or out of AI. Like, it's the questions you ask. Even that.
I agree 100%. And we actually agree with you on the AI standpoint of life, where it's about a combination of things. It's about combining the technology with still utilizing people. You're not trying to take away jobs. But it's a very exciting time right now that if you can utilize technology with the human mind and AI technology together, it's going to be exciting for everybody. But you are correct. If you don't ask the right questions to AI, you are going to get garbage results. I mean, the results are going to be so outlandish and out there almost embarrassingly bad. Where it's like you ask like a 2-year-old a question, they're just throwing things at you. But the right questions, you'll get a completely different result. So that's fantastic.
Excellent tools.
Oh yeah,
Your toolbox for this current.
But it's only one, and it has to be used properly. My biggest thing is any tool misused is a weapon, right? Take a hammer, nail tool, take a hammer, hit somebody over the head, it's a weapon.
100%.
Any of the tools I teach, they can all be weapons if you use them inappropriately, just someone who understand the jargon. And you mentioned garbage out. That's an old computer term, GIGO, G-I-G-O, garbage in, garbage out.
Sure.
Right? So it's all about what's going in. So technology will never replace the creative mind.
Agreed.
It'll just enhance it. That's why I'm so excited about it. And the other word, as an entrepreneur, because I'm a serial entrepreneur, anyone I meet, it could be a plumber or a doctor, anybody. And they're like, Flory, you got to help me grow my business. The number one word is leverage.
Yep.
If you're using your hands all the time, you're a doctor, it has to be your hands. There's only 8 hours in the day and there's only so many patients.
Yeah.
And in the word leverage is the word lever. So I always think of like a lever. You're lifting yourself up. If you can't figure out the leverage, you're not getting to the next step. And the next step is it's money. Money follows. But we're not looking for money. We're looking for legacy. We're looking for impact. We're looking for purpose. So leverage will give you that. Otherwise, you'll stay a sole entrepreneur and only impacting, your
It's great that you're going to say that, because I found, I know I want to ask you this question. Have you found, and it sounds like you have, most self-starting entrepreneurs, most young entrepreneurs get caught in that cycle of, I will always do everything myself. And they, like you said, you'll never get past a certain point. You feel like you're afraid to fail almost, so you won't actually delegate work out. Or you don't know how to, or maybe you're afraid. What have you found more? Do you find people are afraid to, or they just don't know how to?
They're good doer.
Good doers, sure.
So I take an accountant who's a great accountant.
Yeah.
And now I give him an accounting practice. Now he's a lousy businessman, and he's a lousy accountant because he's trying to run a business.
Yeah.
So so already we said number one thing is get a mentor. Number two, I'm always summarizing. That's the teacher in me, right? Number one is get a mentor. Number two is ask great questions, go on a quest. But number three is actually being able to understand that running a business needs business skills. I see this in schools all the time. I have 3 children that just went through the public school system. We take a great teacher, we make them a principal. Now we got a lousy principal, we lost a great teacher. Then we take a great principal and we make them superintendents. You follow? Now we got a lousy superintendent and we lost a great principal. Unless you are grooming them with certain leadership and development skills. So the average guy, maybe I'm a good cook. I open a restaurant, different ballgame. So whatever you're good at is the product or service. But surrounding that is entrepreneur and business skills. I tell everybody, if you're in college, and not everybody has to go, I'm not promoting that, but if you are, take some accounting skills.
Sure.
Take 1 or 2 business classes, even if you're a chemist, because you might want to run your own lab. So most schools now are offering entrepreneurship minors.
Sure.
So that you can be a chemist with an entrepreneur. You can be, anything and have an entrepreneur. So that's my answer to that question. Why they fail is they're great at doing something. They're not great at managing what they can do.
That's great. No, that is a fantastic advice for people out there, because not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. And I think it's a mindset change. Do you agree with that? That you could change your mindset and change what your thought of process is and actually become a better business owner, somebody who's willing to get out there and not to do everything, but start to get it and be a part of that process.
Absolutely. And you don't have to fill in all the gaps yourself, right? You can you have your mentor give you advice.
Sure.
I tell people to get their own little personal board of directors, with they don't have a lawyer, an advisor, all kinds of things. But I will tell you, you will never go wrong learning about numbers, because most businesses fail on the numbers.
Sure.
The first thing I'll ask an entrepreneur, anyone who owns a business, is which product service makes you the most money? I don't know. Well, you got to know how to spend your time. You got to know break even. You got to know a few basics. If you have a handle on the infrastructure and the numbers, you're always going to be better off. Even though you can seek that advice, having a little bit of that knowledge is always going to help.
No, you're 100% right. I think everybody needs to get a piece of that, even if you're not in business. I think even if you work for somebody else, learning the fundamentals of business is essential in life.
Thriving is what we call financial literacy.
There you go.
Which is when I do my 1-year school, which is on the horizon, literally, because they don't really teach that in college.
No.
And if kids don't go to college, they're not getting it either. So they're coming out not knowing, I would say balance a checkbook, which is old school. So however you manage your money, managing your money, investing, a mortgage, any of those concepts, credit, all of it is financial literacy. So I'm a big proponent of getting the young generation that as well.
Sure.
You mentioned about accounting too, because preservation of capital, it's like you want to make sure you can maintain as much of that money that you worked hard for, when you're accounting.
I mean, and what's the return on the investment, right? Where should time, most people, especially younger people, because they have more time than older people. So older people don't think of time as money, but time and money and effort are all resources. right? So how you use them is really all there is. It's the only differentiating factor is how you utilize your resources. And I always tell people, make deliberate choices, because if you make deliberate choices, you get freedom. And I always say, and the word deliberate is the word liberate, right there. D-E, liberate.
Yes.
So you could live a life by design or default. You pick. If you don't get in the game and you don't seek out these skills, it'll be a life by default. But I think we want to design our life. We design our houses. We design a lot of things. Why not design your life?
No, I agree 100% because I always found that the freedom to operate, financial freedom, living free, enables you to create more, and enables you to be an entrepreneur because you're not just, handcuffed to that typical way of making a living or a typical way of living a life, which is most people just kind of being in debt and kind of failing sideways until you retire. Right? That happens. It's kind of sad to say it that way, but that's the reality.
Who really wants to retire? What does that mean now? You have time to what? Do all your hobbies when my work is my hobby. I could never even separate them. People used to ask me, what's your hobby? I'm like, well, I could say water skiing, but when I'm water skiing, I'm thinking of new creative ways. So the work is at skiing. When I'm gambling, that's my highest emotional intelligence level. One of the people at the craps table, right? So I could never separate my hobbies from who I am and what I do. That's the other advice you've got to give out to people, right? You know, there's that old saying. I know it's old, but it's worth repeating, right? When you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
I agree.
It's an oldie, but it's a goodie.
Yeah, I heard also about retirement. People that retire early also die early. Is that possible? I would think if you have no purpose anymore, it's kind of...
That's exactly why.
Yeah.
And there's people who went from high-powered executives are like volunteering at Walmart just because they're looking for some level of purpose, which is why we have to capitalize on them for mentoring.
Yes.
And, I mean, listen, I'm 62. Technically, I should be not working in a few years, right? I couldn't even imagine that. I mean, it's, yeah.
You can tell your passion for what you do. And what's beautiful is your passion led you into creating a beautiful business that right now is helping so many people. And I will call it more than a business. You created what's like a movement. You're really changing lives. It's very powerful what you're doing. And Chris, you actually got to witness this firsthand. And we're very excited to hear a little bit about this because this is just, you've gone above and beyond the lives you are changing. It's very admirable what you're doing.
Well, it really is 44 years in the making, right? Since I'm 18 and 52. People think these things happen overnight. Nothing happens overnight. If we sit in the elevator walking up here, right, all the hard work and all the effort and whether you call it work or not, all the passions, that energy exerted, there's been for a lot of years. A background in math and finance, computer science, I have doctorates in education. So there's a lot on my metaphorical tool belt that's coming to the party right now. And so the curriculum I developed that Chris has come to is the name of the company is Awakened Events, AWE, abbreviated AWE.
Yep.
We are all awe-inspired. But it's like, wake up, right? Don't live a life by default. Pay attention. Design your life. And I combine business skills with manifestation. Because people can go, the old secret, I don't know if you remember that years ago. Yes. There's a secret, right? But it led people to think they could just hope and wish with it. And then there's people in the business world that if you get enough skills, you'll be happy. Well, no. You can get all the skills that you want. If you don't know how to manifest, it ain't happening. And you can go pray and ask for things, but if you don't have the skills to go out and get them. So it's as much action, push, as it is pull.
Yeah, that's great.
Right? And it's really understanding that balance. So I put that all together into right now 1-day courses. I have 3 of them, but inevitably 3-month certification, inevitably an Awakened Events Academy. Because I really believe the key is Awakened Education.
Sure.
Right? I love college classrooms, but most of them are not stimulating. Most of them are not interactive. The kids who find me thought if I had college classes like this, they probably were in your class when you attended. I don't remember who was there. But if I had classes like this, I'd be engaged and I'd go to,
Sure.
So, yeah, that's the goal, Awakened Education, experiential.
That's beautiful. That's fantastic. And you're absolutely right, because I remember when I was in college and even before that, in high school, I was so bored because of how disengaged you are. It almost destroys the education process. 'Cause I'm always reading. I'm always absorbing material. I always want to learn something new, whether it's in my own field of entertainment or business, whatever what that is. But when I was younger, I despised the school system because I was bored. I was not engaged. I'm not knocking the school system. It just, it worked for some people. It didn't work for people like me. And again, I am an entrepreneur. I own my own production company. That's what I do. I've always done that my whole life. But I guess for people that don't fit in the box, it feels like the standard education system is you find it boring or just not engaging enough.
Listen, the goal is to make it standardized. It's called standardized.
There you go. Yeah.
And people are on standards. But now they're demanding it more. I've noticed the younger generation, partially post-COVID, is demanding to be happy. That's why they're finding.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right? They're not. I semi-joke when I say my mom, who just passed away, was 99, but her definition of happiness was less misery. Their expectations were different, right? My generation a little bit better, but these young people,
Yeah.
they're like, no, I'm only going to go in the office 2 days a week. I want to live in Africa, work in Florida.
Yeah, sure.
Good for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's great.
Their life. So
Yeah.
they hear these things, like understand your preferences, get a job that matches who you are. Why fight the current? Why be Prometheus, pushes a rock up the mountain?
Yeah. Yep.
Why not go ease and flow? It's not struggle. I love Napoleon Hill, but one of his sayings is that nothing happens without pain.
Yeah.
Not true. You're doing it wrong if that's the case. So that is why a lot of these young people are finding me and looking for mentors. And it's not like they're looking for the shortcut. Everybody's,
Oh, yeah. No.
they're looking for the right path to cut a path through that far.
Now, what do you tell somebody who is in their 50s or 60s that have been conditioned from a different mindset? Because, again, that was a worker's mindset then. You say, that generation was brought up knowing, go get a job, work 9 to 5, work for the government, do it this way, listen. That was what the people were taught. Is it harder? Are you finding they're having a harder time grasping the concept when they show up to your courses?
No. By the time they get to me, they've heard about it, so they come in like kind of ready.
Ready, sure.
The first thing they say, even without seeing the young people in the room, even though they're there, the first thing they say to me is, Flory, we need this in the schools.
Sure.
Actually, the line, if I had a penny for every time one person over the age of 45 said, if I only had this when I was a teenager.
Sure.
That's what they keep saying. How my life would be different if I went into a career that fueled my personality. I'll give you a quick example. We talk about Myers-Briggs, but there's a lot of personality assessments. There's a whole bunch.
Sure.
I love Myers-Briggs because it's about preferences. I'm certified twice, so it's my instrument, but there's a lot of good ones. Let's just use extroverted and introverted. To give you a quick example, most people know what that is. It doesn't mean if you like parties or not. Extroverted people get their energy from people, from the outside of people, places, and things, and introverts get their energy internally. You can love parties as an introvert, but at the end of the day, you recharge by yourself. So let's say you are an extrovert, and I'm going to use this as an extreme example to make my point in a very short period of time, and you get forced into being a librarian.
Yeah.
Just as a quick example, right? Extroverts, now, could they learn all the tools and tricks to keep themselves motivated being yes, but why should they? So metaphorically, when they were younger, if someone said, oh, we understand you're an extrovert. Oh, we understand librarians are more introvert. That might not be the career path. Yeah. Now you can take that into a lot of other examples. I'm giving you a very simple one.
Sure.
But that kind of thing. So we have people be like, oh my God, that's why I'm an unhappy librarian, metaphorically, sitting in my class at 55, right? A little more complicated than that because of their jobs, but you get it.
I would say that's key to identify their strengths and utilize that.
And it's not like you can't develop your non-strengths, but if you can work at a job where you use what you were born with by nature, why not? So my kids, I've been raising my children with this. I have twins that are now in college, freshmen, and I have a daughter who just graduated college. And we talked about this while they were growing up.
Sure.
I know they're Myers-Briggs type. We had conversations with this in the house. Go for a profession that uses all those skills, makes you happy. I mean, that's really all. So I say this all the time. Chris heard me. People think, entrepreneurs out there, listen to this, right? You think you want to be an entrepreneur because it will give you money or the car or the girlfriend or the sex or whatever or all of it. But what you really want is the feeling those things will give you.
Thanks.
What you really want is to be happy or have freedom.
Sure.
Same thing. Peace, happy, freedom, success. It's all on one side of the room. You think all those things will get you there, but it's really the feeling.
Sure.
So I want them to understand that it's the feeling you're looking for, not the thing. And so that's what I teach people, how to go after the feeling. Because once you go after the feeling, it's called the law of attraction, the thing will hunt you down.
Yes.
It'll just hunt you down. And it won't be exhausted. It'll just find you.
No, I agree with that 100%. And I found that is 100% true because anytime you're chasing something, generally you aren't ready for it and it will not happen. When you show that you're just living that and that's a part of your aura and who you are as an individual, it comes to you. You manifest it, it comes to you, it's easier to find, you're finding the right people around you. And no matter what you're doing, I just always found that was 100% true that way.
It is. People always say to me, okay, this was great, Flory. I feel uplifted and I went through all 3 courses and I love it. I want to go back now and empower my mom. And I'm going to go tell her, like, well, you could tell her it'd be great. But the best way to empower someone is to be empowered yourself.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Because they will feel that. And one of the kids that was in my class, he said it before I even said that. I said, you're going to go back and tell all your friends about this? He goes, nope, I'm just going to live a better version of myself and let them ask. And I'm like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And he was like 22 years old.
That's good.
But that's exactly it. You want people around you to be happy. You want your kids to be happy. You're not going to tell them. You're going to be happy.
Yeah.
You're going to be in the moment. You're going to be fulfilled, right? They will see your joy and they will just bask in it and ask you when you're.
No, you're absolutely right. Of course. Why wouldn't they? It's just there. I think if you actually went to try to change somebody, you're probably going to push them away. Especially if you're not certified in something you're not doing and you just gotta say, hey, I just started waking myself up. Now I'm going to try to wake you up. Who are you? You know, who are you coming to me? Yeah, exactly. Why are you doing this? So
that's the donkey. You listen, right? You pull a donkey, the donkey pulls further in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's never gonna win. But that is really the parenting strategies that people have, which is why now I'm starting to offer classes for parents.
That's important,
right? Because first of all, parents are parenting the way they want to be parented, but their kids might not be the same as them.
Yeah.
So first rule of thumb is find out who's your audience. If you're a teacher, who are the kids? If you're a coach, I mean, it's the same concept. It's so basic. It blew my mind that we're not doing that.
I said this for years. In school, they should teach about health and nutrition. They should teach about parenting. Things that people actually have to find out the hard way.
Well, what is parenting but leadership?
It's leadership, yeah.
Right? And what's the Hershey and Blanchard way back came up with something called situational leadership. Oh my God, we thought it was revolutionary. You know what it is? Understand the situation and the people involved and adjust accordingly. Oh my God, that was radical. Right? But that's what parenting is.
Sure.
But really quick, on the fly moments.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I have a kid in this situation. Who's the kid? What's the situation? Who am I in it? And how am I going to adjust? But if we don't know who they are and who we are, then the adjusting can't happen.
Yeah.
So these skills are so key.
No, you're absolutely right.
But I'll give you another thing. I have a lot of kids coming to me. The parents aren't, right? So like college kids coming, like, great story. Now you taught me, but my parents are in the door.
Sure.
Manage up. When I get employees, can I get my manager here? Yeah. But if you can't, manage up.
Sure.
You can manage up. That's asking questions, exposing them, living your best self. So you have to manage up as a kid with a parent as you do as an employee with a manager. Same skill.
I agree. I think they'll see you getting better and seeing you improve, and they're going to take an interest of why you're changing. And I think anybody's going to take an interest in that. So you're absolutely right. It's not that difficult to manage up with a parent or an employee as long as you're being the best version of yourself. I feel it's, quite easy to do.
Instead of telling them, if you ask them questions. How about we try this? Or what do you think about this?
Yes.
So I heard this by, I don't know if you've ever heard of Wayne Dyer.
Yes.
I'm a real fan of Wayne Dyer. He's like in the spiritual ethereal world.
Okay.
He passed away. His big book is Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Destiny.
Okay.
Not change your thoughts, change your day, week, or anything. Change your destiny.
Sure.
Your mindset changes everything. And he gives so many tips, but so much is about raising what he calls limitless children. One of my favorite books, How to Raise Limitless Children. But to do that, you have to try to be limitless, which most people aren't.
Sure.
So you have to ask questions and encourage them to ask questions, and the right questions.
Well, before you were saying about one of your students, and Wayne Dyer came to mind when he said about he wants to be better than he used to be. That's what Wayne Dyer says. He doesn't want to be better than anyone else. It's not a competition between him and others.
Yes.
He wants to be better than he used to be.
That's what I told you. It's on a continuum, right? Everybody's on their own continuum. You and I, probably the three of us, were probably born more creative than the average person by nature. But we had to be nurtured on different skills.
Sure.
So our low end of creativity might be someone else's high end.
Yeah.
Well, all I need you to do is move a little. That's all my goal as a facilitated teacher is. People used to say, Flory, why are you teaching leadership? Leaders are boring. Yeah, some are born with more of the skills, but I can move anybody along their continuum. So that's exactly what Chris is talking about, right? Be better than you were, which means move along your continuum. And you can't move along if you're not paying attention to where you started. So awareness, emotional intelligence is all key to the story.
Now, first steps for any listeners that are out there, because most people, like you said, once you're going to go to a course like you're putting on right now, or you're going to read books like this, you're open-minded at that point. What are the first steps to become open-minded? Because a lot of people are afraid of change. So if you're taught, live this way, live in the box, what's the first step to kind of take you out of that process? Because it's scary to change your whole mindset in life. That is a very difficult thing to do. I think that may be the hardest step, is actually changing the mindset and saying that I want to make a difference in my life. What first steps can you suggest to any listeners that want to start themselves on this journey at the beginning of their change in their life?
Well, even I get people who say, Flory, we don't want to make the investment to come to the course. We want to know about it. So I do previews.
Sure.
So, of course, I want you to all come to a preview. They're complimentary. You get to hear. But if you're sitting there at home and you can't get to a preview, you're asking me, what can people do? Or how do they get that first level of awareness?
Yes.
I think I mentioned this in the seminar, but there's a few questions. Because what we're talking about is something like metaphysical. We're saying something more than our bodies, right? And there's a lot of people who don't believe in metaphysics. And by the word meta Am I on actual camera?
You are, yes.
Yeah, okay. So see Deepak's book, Meta Human.
Right here.
There
Yep.
you go. Right? Meta is a prefix that means beyond. In
Yeah.
math, metadata means interpreting the data differently. So everybody's saying we're more than human, but people don't believe it. So I'm going to give you 3 things to prove to people, okay? Because I'm all about evidence. That's a scientist in me, right? And I also meet people where they're at. So I'm not going to start talking about the 5th dimension. Even though I believe in that, people would be like, okay, leprechauns and she's crazy. So I'm going to give you 3 things. And I want everybody listening to think of these 3 things. Because my goal right now is a lawyer. I want to convince you that there is something so much more powerful than what you know. And here goes. I will ask everyone and I will get in equivocally the same answer. So I'm going to ask you, Joe, do you think people get better in a hospital when they have visitors or when they don't?
I think when they have visitors.
Why do you think?
I think your mindset is going to make you want to be conditioned to get better, to be around your loved ones. You almost want to heal so you can continue moving forward.
So what you're saying is that people coming to see me give me some feeling.
It's a feeling.
But we want to go one level deeper because unless those visitors are bringing in hard drugs, how are they actually changing your cellular level, molecular biology that you're healing, right? In other words, there's something going, in other words, your feelings
Yep.
are changing your body. Now, people don't break it down until I just did that. They're like, I never really thought about it. Well, I want you to think about it, right? There's many studies with...
The Emoto study? Emoto, the Japanese scientist.
Say that, yep.
Emoto, he did the water study, which shows you basically the verbal word as well as the written word would change the chemical structure.
The molecular structure of water. They did it with strawberries. Try this in your house, literally, or plants. But strawberries are even more mind-blowing.
Sure.
You put strawberries in different rooms of the house and you yell at one for 3 days. You know, you curse at that strawberry and you yell at it.
Yeah.
And you go be nice and happy to the other strawberry. That one will get moldy very fast. Very fast. So that just proves there's something way beyond.
Sure,
And
sure.
they joke about, the visitors aren't bringing your drugs. Because other than that, it's simply a feeling that is translated.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to give you one more. What about goosebumps? Right? I can have 3 people in a room and tell a story. Not everyone will get goosebumps.
Yes.
So what do the goosebumps actually mean? Why is somebody getting goosebumps? I'd be like, I never thought about it before. Well, I'm asking you to think about it. This is a more proactive approach to things that we are living with every day that I want you to realize is a jump to the mindset we want people to have.
Sure.
So when people get goosebumps, it's really a resonation. It's resonating with you as a truth, right? That's what goosebumps are. And not everybody has the same truth. And the third thing is you can take anyone, even the most ego, man or woman, strong, start talking about their kids and they'll start tearing up, right? And if you don't have kids, I'm sure I can talk about a story that would make one of you tear up.
Sure.
Right? What's going on? I'm literally at the other side of the room talking and you're going to tear up. So that is a connection. That is a connection between words, translating to feelings and emotion, and then affecting our physiology.
Sure.
So that's my first few things just to get people in the game.
No, I think that's going to engage everybody at every different level. It's going to make people think, and I like that because you're asking them the right questions. Again, questions engage them, make them want to actually be proactive, kind of wakes them up. It makes them think, and that's great. That's great. You have that system to bring people in and get them actually thinking, wanting to get more involved. That's important. I think a lot of people are afraid to take these steps, but they're not getting asked the right questions of why they want to do it. So I think that's fantastic.
Exactly. And the real question is, do you want to be happy?
There you go.
Only question is, do you want to be happy? And that's why everybody does everything that they do.
Oh, you kidding?
They want
Yeah.
to be happy. They just don't know how to get there. So the program that I developed is called, the first course is called The Missing Piece. And it is basically all the pieces of your life, right? So I call it a holistic approach to happiness.
Yes.
I'm also a holistic health counselor and nutritionist because I went through some 70 pounds of losing weight when I was young.
Oh, wow. Sure.
So it's your body and your relationships and your goals and your work or school and your spirit and those things all together. Listen, you can be in a great relationship and be unhappy.
Sure.
You can be in great physical health and be unhappy because it's all the pieces, right? It's all the pieces coming together. So we basically teach people how to connect the pieces, how to segregate them, and all the research that's involved to give them, some tools.
Now, you guys, you have a one-day retreat people can go to, correct? And I know, Chris, you actually happen to experience this. I'm very excited to hear a little bit about that because you guys were there. You got to sit in. You were a part of this. Tell us a little bit about that because this is great.
Amazing experience, actually. It felt like going to family, so actually better than family. You could choose your friends, but not your family. It was really great. It was a nice group of people. Everyone got to introduce and meet each other. A very relaxed atmosphere at a beautiful home. They had a boat in the back. We took a boat ride in between the course. We sat down, we all communicated together. It was very, very educational. And I saw that everyone really got something out of it.
Because you came back like really excited, and he was really, I could feel an energy shift with you when you came back. So you seem to get a lot out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always ready for improving myself. So there's a lot of stuff here. I've read some of these books that she has here as well, actually quite a few of them. And this has always been like my life's journey, but I've always wanted to work on myself. I'm not sure who wants to work on themselves, but if you do want to work on yourself, it's available to you.
Well, I think Chris was a perfect example of someone who is living by these principles,
Yes.
but maybe didn't have the constructs,
Sure.
algorithms, or language around it. Because throughout the day, I just I saw him nodding, and yeah, I get this, Flory, but I never heard it that way.
Sure.
So you can be, you're gonna like this. The content can be new to you, or you can be new to the content.
Very true. Yeah.
So at different places and times in our life, we're new. You can listen to this podcast, which I recommend 10 times, right?
Yep.
And you could still get something out of it. It's not because you missed something; it's because you're new to it.
Yes.
3 weeks from later, you're looking at something differently. So that's how I feel you went through the course,
Okay.
right? Like resonating with it. And people always say to me, Flory, is it a retreat? Yep. Is it education? Yep. Is it networking? Yep. It's really all of those things. I mean, the minute you bring any more than 2 people together, it's networking.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So everything is networking, which means what? Talking to people? I don't know. It's like a fancy word.
Yeah.
But I have a new word that I always give my nephew credit for, which is when you're vibrating so high that people approach you. So networking implies I'm approaching you.
Sure.
But when someone comes up to you because you're happy and you're vibrating and you don't look your age or whatever they're deeming is, important, and they talk to you and say, hey, what are you doing? That's net walking.
There you go. Hey.
So that's where we want people to be, right? We want people to not have to make so much effort. Networking implies a lot of effort.
Yeah, well,
I got to go talk to you. I got to go to parties. I got to get my cards out, right? Oh, it's exhausting.
Yep.
But networking is I'm going to live my life, my best self. I'm going to vibrate high. I'm going to be meta-human. I'm going to be supernatural, as my other guy, Joe Dispenza, says. I'm going to unleash the power within, Tony Robbins, right?
There you go. Yeah.
All those things, and then you're going to come up to me, and then it's going to be easier.
I think you're 100% right about that. Again, I think when you have that, and again, I'm not saying that we're the greatest in the world, but we network a lot in our careers.
Yeah.
And if you're doing things correctly, you find the people that are actually trying to do the positive, right things that are confident. You don't need to really network. Everybody comes to you. You're kind of sitting there. You're making new friends. You're meeting the right people. You're bringing and attracting the right people towards you, just based out of the energy you're giving off, because people can tell you don't have that I don't want to say a bad way, but that desperation. You know what I mean by that? Of like, love me, need me, which is never good, because that takes maturity to get past that. I think everybody at the beginning, especially young entrepreneurs, think that they need to get out there so quick. I need to get really quick results. I want to get rich really quick. They're not growing in the process. And I think it just takes time, like you said, to sit back and change the mindset to let people walk to you as opposed to trying to work towards everybody else.
Yeah, they're forcing it at that point as well.
Yeah.
It's going with the flow. So I remember one of my favorite poems by Marion Williamson is about letting your own inner light shine to liberate others to do the same. If I'm going to shrink down so I fit in with the crowd versus just be myself, if you're yourself, then that energy is going to be attracted to them, and then they'll come over to your side versus you scaling down.
I love Marion Williamson. She's another author in this kind of genre, and she talks about us being bozos on the bus. She says we're all just bozos on the bus, trying to hide it from other people, but everybody's the same thing. So, being a little vulnerable is not being needy, right? Being vulnerable is almost the opposite, but there's a way to even do that, right? And, and a timing and a place, that kind of thing. You mentioned before, I love the word you said, this is not necessarily just education. Well, we call it edutainment, right? Education and education. Matter of fact, my first company, the camps I did, I called EduCamp.
There you go.
Back then, I knew you had to educate and entertain. But you called it a movement. If you break that word down, we are meant to move.
Sure.
Right? So, physical activity, mental activity, it's not going to happen by just sitting in your room and praying and wishing and manifesting. It happens because you get out there. So there's an element of I push toward my goals, and then I let the universe bring me the solutions.
Sure.
So what I always say to people is a mantra here and there is never going to kill you. It's not going to hurt you. A mantra simply like, it's always working out for my higher good. And I'll give one tip out there. You really want to stay out of the lower emotions of the scale, right? Negativity like disappointment and anger and jealousy and rage and depression. Those are all in the lower.
Sure.
And in the upper is joy and happiness. And in the middle is like contentment, right? I'll take contentment, but I'd rather be in the top.
Sure.
But I'll give you an example of disappointment and how we get around this. Technically, we should If we believe everything is always working out for our higher good, then we would never be disappointed. So as human as we all are, the morning of a seminar, 2 people cancel. I used to be, my initial would be like, I get disappointed. But now you realize very quickly, disappointment means I know better than the universe. But maybe what's going to happen because of that is going to be so much greater than what I could have imagined.
Yes.
So the best thing is don't stay in that negative emotion at more than 1 nanosecond. Simply say, okay, I release it, I surrender, and I look forward, and I'm excited about what's now going to happen.
That's great. I think it's so important for people to hear, too, is everybody will get disappointed. It's how you deal with the disappointment. And that's so important because I think people have to realize don't be afraid of those emotions. Just be in there, turn it into a positive, and get it out.
And we don't even want to use the word because fortunately, words have vibration.
Sure.
Fortunately, disappointment has a negative one. So what we want to say is, in life, you're going to be disappointed. Instead of saying, now we say, in life, the road's going to turn in directions you can't imagine.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yep.
Right? Even that language is so much different. You know, we talk about manifesting. We get in our own way with resistance. Even the way people ask for money is resistance. They come from a place of lack.
Sure.
So simply instead, I don't have enough money. I need money. I want money. That's all negative. That is all putting out negative vibration in the universe, as opposed to I know abundance will follow me. I know abundance will find me. Or I know money will find me. Whatever language feels better to you can use somebody else's language.
Sure.
But it is so crazy how just pivoting a little bit on the words, one of the techniques is putting wouldn't it be nice in front of what you're thinking negatively. Just put wouldn't it be nice? It changes the energy.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
You know, my mother is annoying the F out of me. You know, wouldn't it be nice if she wasn't doing that?
Sure.
Crazy, but it lifts you up a little bit.
Yeah.
So these are such subtle changes that people can make. Listen, I'm also a health and nutritionist, and I mentioned I lost 70 pounds. Just like when I talk about people's diet, there's such subtle changes you can make for radical differences. Same with your mindset. We have 60,000 thoughts a day. Most people, 58,000 of them are negative.
Yeah.
That is statistics and research. So if you can just change a few of them, you're going to be way ahead.
As I say, you're ahead of the curve of everybody for doing that, and that's half the battle, I think, people don't realize is that most people, especially people that are trying to start their own businesses to become entrepreneurs, aren't taking these steps. They're just trying to get lucky. It's like they're buying a lottery ticket, just trying to kind of just throw cocks into the wind, see what happens. If you're taking these steps, it feels like you're ahead of a high percentage of everybody out there. If you're just doing these small little adjustments, even these beginning steps puts you that much further ahead of most people.
Well, it's funny. So think about luck. I use that all the time. When you say good luck to someone, let's break that one down, right? For the people out there, right? Oh, they'll say either that person, they're just lucky.
Sure.
Or good luck. I'm going to use my language now around that, right? So when you say good luck to someone, what are you wishing them? What do you think?
Wishing them well.
Well,
That they get what they want.
right. We're wishing that they get what they want. What we're really saying is we hope you're vibrating at such a high level. By the way, if the listeners can follow this now, we've done a good job so far. What good luck means is I wish that you are vibrating at such a level and so aligned with your thoughts, words, actions, and beliefs that you attract exactly what you need today.
Yeah.
But good luck implies what? Randomness. Right? I've redefined luck. I say luck is limitless, unlimited, creative, and knowing.
That's good.
If you have that kind of luck, that's what I want for you. And it's also very condescending to someone to say, oh, you're just lucky.
I agree. Yeah.
Because that sounds random as opposed to, wow, you are so aligned that the universe is bringing you exactly what you need. But the reason people can't handle that is because they're not doing it.
Of course.
And they don't want to make it seem like they're not doing something they should, so they make it seem like luck. So no more luck. No luck. Creative. When people say create your own luck, what they're saying is be aligned.
Be aligned, of course.
Live a life by design. Ask the right questions. Get a mentor. All the stuff we're talking about. And then it looks like you're lucky.
Of course.
The quotes also is sayings is about the luck favors the prepared. When you prepare every day, and all of a sudden you become lucky because you met that opportunity that came your way.
Did you ever hear of Malcolm Gladwell?
Yes.
That he wrote a book called Blink and Outliers. And it opens with a art expert looking at a picture and in a blink of an eye going, that's not a Mona Lisa. And they're like, wow, like you did that fast. He goes, took me 50 years.
Of course. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Your blink in production is my blink in education.
Sure. Yep.
So never misinterpret someone's blink, right? For the preparation that it looks like they're being lucky about.
Takes a lot of work. lot of work, a lot of discipline, a lot of self-sacrifice and self-changing. I mean, I had to readjust my whole mindset when I really started going at this 100% and putting my life into it. You can't just think, I deserve it at the beginning. You need to work for it. And now, again, you manifest as you want it, but you have to put the right steps in there. So you always have that right intention. Yes, I deserve this, and not that I want it, just get it handed to me. I like the work process. I like the process of work, as I'm sure you do. Obviously, look at everything you're putting together. You love the process, the actual journey of getting it done. And I think a lot of people don't want that journey. They just want...
Well, because they think what they want is the outcome, but what they really do want is the journey. That's the kick.
Sure.
People who win the lottery, it doesn't make them happy.
Yes, you're right, yeah.
Earn the money. Well, they didn't, and earn sounds, negative. They didn't get the joy from earning the money.
Sure.
Right? So, and that's another very clear message. You think you want the shortcut, but you don't.
Yeah.
Take our word for it, you don't. You want the joy that you're getting in the incremental steps. I just did an interview with a young group, a new company doing podcasts, and it was called Living Outside the Matrix. And I'm like, I don't even really know what they meant. I remember the Keanu
Reeves movie, yeah.
And I watched it again, right? But that's old. But the concept of a matrix is what? Limiting beliefs.
Yes, yep.
Right?
Yes.
It's living within limiting beliefs. And the way to make sure you're not living in that matrix is to ask questions.
Sure.
So we are raised with beliefs, and I'll give you a few examples. We don't even question them because we don't even think they're beliefs. So someone said to me, Flory, I'll question all my beliefs. And then they started questioning things. I'm like, those are your beliefs. And then they said something. I'm like, that's your belief. Oh, no, that's not my belief. That's a fact. Okay? I'm like, no. That's just something. A belief is just a thought you've been thinking a long time. So I've been thinking it so long, you think it's fact, so you don't question it.
Yes.
Okay? However you were raised. So, for example, I was raised Catholic. Very Catholic, which I joke being an oxymoron. And I know that he gets the Catholics, but I went to Catholic school, right? And we had a belief that divorce was failure.
Sure.
Now I'm divorced. And it took me a long time to come to terms with that because of a belief. And then I had to question that belief. Is that serving me? Right? So there are certain beliefs that people just never even look at. And they raise their children with these beliefs.
Yeah.
Right? I'll give you a few. You fill in the blanks, you two. And none of this is prepared. So this is how we know, right? If you want something done right,
Do yourself.
do it yourself. That's a horrible belief.
I know.
You'll be
Very exhausted by the end of it. Yeah, that's just your life now. Yeah.
So let's rewire that. Joe Dispenza says, rewire, refire your brain. That should be, if you want something done right, empower those around you.
There you go.
And get leverage. Right? How about this one? The early bird
Gets to work.
gets to work. Well, what if you're not a morning person?
There you go. Yeah.
So, everybody says get up at 4 in the morning. What if I don't do my best work at 4?
There you go. Yeah.
What if I do my best work at 5 in the afternoon? But those are beliefs. They're colloquialisms. We've been hearing them for a long time. Then there are some of these sayings that are actually very true and helpful, but we haven't broken them down. I'll give you just one more of those. Time heals all wounds.
Yes.
So break that down. Think about it. Why does time, physical we get, right?
Yeah.
But emotional or any of the pieces, right? Or you lose a job, a cerebral wound. But why does time heal emotional pain? Try to break that down for me. Why do you think?
I think it's just acceptance.
Yeah, with time. Yeah.
That's really it.
So you're getting further and further from the emotional pain, right?
It's not as clear.
Right. So if you can get more resilient quicker, that's the name of the game.
There you go.
Right? In other words, you could wait 20 years to get over it, or you can figure out, as we teach people tools, to get over it in a much shorter time.
Obviously, one of the worst things with death, right? For everyone, that's probably the worst, right? So I said, would your sibling or whoever passed away, would they want to see you unhappy? So that's why I asked myself, and I try to encourage other people too, to look at it a little bit differently. They wouldn't want you unhappy. That's a part of life.
Great example.
Yep.
And that's a question.
Yeah.
So it's not, because whenever you ask a question, you're not attacking.
Exactly.
You could have said, they wouldn't want you to feel that way.
Yeah.
That's more of an attack.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you think?
Exactly.
Because as soon as you ask a question, you're giving someone a choice. And as soon as someone has a choice, they have freedom and they're going to be open to you. That's why questions are so good.
No, it's funny you said that, because I was actually thinking, do you feel a lot of the problem with people's thought patterns today's days come into how, and again, not knocking the educational system, but you're almost taught at a young age not to ask certain questions. You're almost taught not to think outside of the box. And if you do, you fail, you get an F. There's a barometer of measure that if you don't follow the exact structure, you get scolded, you fail, you get punished, you get detention, you lose. So many of us are wired just to say, I don't want to ask a question. I'm afraid to ask the right questions. And if I do, I may be penalized.
So well said.
Yeah.
So that's when you read Wayne Dyer's book about raising limitless children, he said, but you're raising limitless children in a limited world.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm a mathematician. I can just see the standard deviation curve. There's 10 on this end, 10 on this end, but there's 80 in the middle. And these 10 are fighting the 80.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's the movement. That's where you want to be. Malcolm Gladwell's second book, Outlier. You want to be that outlier.
Sure.
So yeah, it's so crazy. People say to me all the time, I'm looking for validation from all these people. I'm like, do you trust their opinion?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you don't want their life, why are you listening? Or why are you being offended by what they're saying to you?
Yes.
People just don't step back and question all of these things, which when you look at them, they're like, I just haven't even had a moment. So yes, but to go back, are we living in a society which gives us limiting belief, limiting institutions? Yes. Yes. So you have to find like-minded communities. And that's what people, and again, I've got 2 PhDs. I've got a lot of schools.
Sure. Yeah.
You extract, you sift. It's like a funnel. You sort and you sift what serves me, what doesn't. Sometimes you need credentials. Well, that's the goal of that, but I can put it in a box and not have to believe it. You know, I say the word believe. Leave is in the word.
There you go. Yeah.
Leave some of them behind.
You're absolutely right. Yep.
But it's just taking a step back and even having the courage and the safety to talk about this stuff. A lot of these young people, their parents aren't talking about it. You go,
Sure.
You go get a job, you get this, and they're like, hey, wait, I'm not happy. At the end of all this, you know, you could probably get till 30 or 40 and then say, and I got 2 kids and I got a mortgage, then I got the traditional life, and I'm not happy.
Not happy. Yeah.
Right. So what do I do about it? So we have those people finding us, but it's been profound to say the least.
Sure.
And you did say a movement, and we started this company. This is my third company. We started this May 1st of last year. At the end of October this month, we will have done 30 seminars.
Oh, that's great.
With 15 to 20 in a seminar, so almost 600 people. And 2 to 4 a month, constantly. The demand is there because it's just validation.
Sure.
So I'm not sure how the future is going to unfold. I always say the intelligence of the universe, come to see you guys.
Yeah.
Journey. But I'm paying attention. I am paying attention.
See, that's the way to do it. And just one last thing, 'cause I am fascinated by your seminars are fantastic. You mentioned it a little bit, and if you can't mention it, that's okay. I cannot wait till this academy idea you have is going to come to fruition, because I think that's going to be fantastic. When people can actually get that full education there. Not that it's not now, but having that full lesson going from start to finish, getting certified. I think you're starting on something fantastic. Do you see a time frame for that coming out, or is that still kind of loose right now?
Yeah. So, everybody says, oh, you make plans and then God or source, laughs at you.
Sure. Yeah.
But translating that saying is you push and then you wait.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of following the direction now. There's a lot of groups parenting. I'm working with all different types of cancer thrivers. I'm working with all different types of groups. I would like to say within 2 years.
Okay. Sure.
But think of this, if you're listening out there. Well, you are if you're listening. Listen. My kids, I have these college kids saying, I don't even need college. I could just do a YouTube Academy. So what's that saying? When I need to learn something, I'll go look it up. So the Awakened Education I'm talking about is a combination. I didn't want to say classroom, but in person.
Sure.
I don't think I'd have a classroom. It'd be experience. It'd be my house. It'd be in Aruba. It's going to be somewhere. Some days start at 6 a.m. Some days start at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Whatever. Listen, colleges know this already. They're doing internships more and more.
Yeah.
They know the kids. I mean, that's like a little bit of a, 2 years you go internships. You're getting paid. You're paying the college. Nobody's teaching. I mean, the company's teaching.
Yeah.
But there are other ways to do that. So think of the YouTube University concept, but facilitated with AI and green screen.
Yeah.
So what really I'm going to do is package the best of what's out there, right? You're going to get the best financial speakers. You're going to get the best health and nutritionists.
Yes.
Doesn't that sound exciting?
Sounds great.
It's Awakened Education.
Yeah.
It's really, So I'm hoping 2 years.
Fantastic.
There's a possible funding from a lot of sources, but Awakened Education. I think that's just the way to go. So whether you went to college or not, but especially if you're not going to college, right? This is your gap year. This is your transition year.
Sure.
The skills that you need. And I think there's another real possibility of getting companies to sponsor the kids come.
Sure. Yeah.
So the kids aren't paying for the companies.
That'd be fantastic. I think that is Beautiful.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Another thing I didn't mention at the seminar too, you had the special guest there with the drum bowls and.
Oh, yes. So thank you for mentioning that, because we are combining all the pieces in between the actual 1 hour content of each of the pieces. We have 3 to 5 minute meditations.
Okay.
So that people leave with portable meditation. And at the end of the day, we do a 10-minute sound bowl healing. So those are things people have heard of. They don't want to go to 3 days about that, but to 10 minutes of it. So it's like I'm giving people a buffet of healing mindset options.
That's beautiful.
Including business skills, right? Including goal setting, including preference assessment, including emotional intelligence, but these other skills that in our life right now is separate. You can go to a project management class,
Yeah.
you can have a spiritual retreat. I'm merging those two together because we are one person holistic. So I always say the business people think spiritual people are like selling pamphlets of barefoot and poor. And spiritual people think business people are grounded and not in a good way. And the real secret sauce is the merging of those two, is having the skills, but the mindset to use them, to know when, to have a life of ease and flow, to create miracles. I be with the words. If you rearrange the word miracle, it spells I am clear letter for letter. So as long as you are clear and aligned in your thoughts, words, actions, and beliefs, miracles will show up and it won't be that hard.
I think you can't get any more well said than that. For our viewers watching a website, they can come out. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that actually want to take these seminars. Your website for everybody that wants to sign up or take another look?
Yep, the website is A-Wakened-Events.com.
A-Wakened-Events.com.
Can I summarize some action items for them?
Summarize away, please.
Okay, because I've been writing them down because the teacher is...
No, please.
Please summarize.
Please summarize.
Yeah.
Some action points for you out there. Most of the audience, you think young entrepreneurs?
Young entrepreneurs, I would say, yeah.
But listen, whether you're an entrepreneur, which means you own a business or want to own a business, everyone needs entrepreneurial skills.
Sure.
No matter what you're doing, when I teach entrepreneurship, it doesn't mean you have to own a business.
Yeah.
So this is good advice for anyone with an entrepreneurial spirit, right? We talked about get a mentor, ask the right questions, use technology, use the right questions. Remember that whatever you're good at doing, that does not mean you will be good at running a company doing it. You have to get the business skills, make deliberate choices, and look for miracles.
The best advice anybody can take right now, I think. I mean, for me, I think this is beautiful. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on. This was fantastic. People can learn so much from you. What you're doing for everybody out there is truly life-changing. You've dedicated your life to this. It shows the kind of person you are, really. It's
well, I know
fantastic.
I think, that because I am a mathematician and a manifest. Those are non-mutually.
I was going to say,
You can be a scientist. Joe Dispenza is a scientist. These are scientists, medical doctors. That does not preclude you from having this mindset and combining those skills. So, as a matter of fact, we need you more than ever if you're in the concrete sciences.
Sure.
Can I tell one last thing?
You can tell away, please.
Last thing, my daughter broke her arm cheerleading last year, and we took her to the doctor. They put her in a cast, and as we were walking out, the doctor says, Bella, just do me one favor. Bella goes, what? The doctor says, can you please believe that you will heal? We turned around, walked right back, and Bella's like, oh, now we're in for a conversation. That's all I had to hear from the doctor. I said, what's that all about? She goes, Joe Dispenza. We started talking, but that is not the average Western medical doctor.
No.
Right? She told my daughter, you're in a splint, but you will heal faster if you believe you will heal faster. That's the message. If you believe, what's the movie? Build it and they will come, right?
Oh, yeah. Build the dreams, yeah.
Believe in it. Build the dreams. That's where our whole life should be, our imagination. Walt Disney, he said, live in your imagination. Anything that exists today was first in someone's imagination.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Live in your imagination and just create it.
And the other thing that comes to mind, another movie actually is Pay It Forward. I believe what you're doing is a prime example of that.
Sure.
I mean, it's great. You're helping other people to help themselves.
It's called logotherapy, by the way. And if anyone ever read Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, who was in the concentration camps in Nazi Germany, wrote this when he survived the camps. But logotherapy comes from the Latin logos, which means purpose, which means if you are at a low vibration and you're in any of those negative, help someone. Pay for their Starbucks behind you. It's crazy, but you cannot stay in a bad mood if you do something to someone. So having purpose, it's actually a term in psychiatry and psychology called logotherapy. And you will raise your vibration by basically raising the vibration of someone else.
That's fantastic.
So hopefully that's what we did today.
I think we did. I think we did for a lot of people out there. I think everybody's really going to enjoy this one. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. It's been nothing but a privilege. And really, this is fantastic. It's an honor to have you here. Really, it is. Thank you so much. For the Live Your Dreams podcast, I'm Joe Gawalis.
Chris Victor.
We will see you again next week. Make sure to like and subscribe now. And make sure, please, again, if you have any questions, we will have links to all the seminars and any materials down below. So please check them out. Make sure to reach out. And we'll see you guys next week.